begins on a peaceful morning in Japan. This is not just a simple visit for tea. For Yoichi, it represents something much greater, a chance to build trust, to start a relationship that could influence both his career and his personal growth. Yoichi's wife, Airi, is by his side as always. She moves gracefully through their small kitchen, preparing the tea with care. When Mr. Sagawa arrives, the atmosphere is warm and respectful. The three of them sit together, sipping tea and sharing light conversation. At first, the topics are simple family, seasons, and memories of the city. But as the moments pass, the meeting takes on a deeper meaning. Sagawa does not treat Yoichi as just an employee, but as a companion, someone he wishes to guide and see succeed. For Yoichi, this realization stirs both pride and pressure. On one hand, he feels grateful that his boss recognizes his potential. On the other, he knows this means expectations will be high. In that moment of quiet reflection, Airi gently places a cup of tea in front of him. She doesn't need to say anything. Her smile carries the message clearly: you are not alone. That simple gesture reminds Yoichi that while the road ahead may not be easy, he has companions by his side, a wife who believes in him, and a mentor willing to guide him. As the day continues, Yoichi finds himself reflecting on this idea. He remembers his first days in school, when he felt uncertain but gained courage from a teacher's encouragement. He recalls moments of doubt in his youth, when a single kind word from a friend gave him the strength to keep going. And now, in this new chapter of his adult life, the pattern repeats itself. The right support, combined with his own determination, can push him forward. This is the foundation of his journey, the understanding that striving to excel in work and in life is not simply about personal ambition. It is about learning, adapting, and growing, while also opening one's heart to the guidance and encouragement of others. He knows that tomorrow will bring responsibilities and challenges, but he also knows something even more important. He is not walking this path alone. This beginning sets the tone for everything that follows, a story not just about work, but about perseverance, support, and the human ability to rise stronger when walked together. The weeks that followed were filled with both opportunity and challenge. For Yoichi, the excitement of starting his new job began to blend with the weight of responsibility. Each morning, he rose early, determined to give his best. Yet, as with all beginnings, the path was not without its bumps. At work, Yoichi found himself facing tasks that demanded precision and focus. There were reports to prepare, deadlines to meet, and small details that could not be overlooked. His dedication was real, but sometimes his mind wandered. Worry crept in about doing things perfectly, about living up to expectations, about not letting others down. And in those brief moments of distraction, mistakes occurred. They were not catastrophic errors, but they were enough to matter. A misplaced figure in a report, a delay in a task, a miscommunication with a colleague, each one was a reminder that growth comes with lessons, and lessons sometimes arrive disguised as obstacles. Mr. Sagawa, true to his role as both leader and mentor, addressed these issues directly. His words were clear and firm. Focus was essential. Responsibility could not be compromised. To Yoichi, the feedback felt heavy at first. He respected Sagawa deeply, and every correction weighed on him like a stone in his chest. The thought returned again. Am I truly capable of this? At home, Airi noticed the subtle change in her husband. His shoulders carried more tension. His expression grew quieter in the evenings. She never pressed him with questions, but her gentle presence was a constant reassurance. She understood that work was not only about tasks, but also about the emotions that accompanied them. One evening, after a particularly demanding day, Yoichi sat at the dining table staring into his cup of tea. He replayed Sagawa's words in his mind, reminders to be sharper, more attentive, more consistent. The pressure felt real, but beneath it, there was also care. He realized that criticism, when given sincerely, is not meant to discourage, but to guide. Still, the weight lingered. It was then that Sagawa made a thoughtful choice. Instead of addressing Yoichi alone, he reached out to Airi. He understood something profound, that success at work is not separate from life at home. A person's strength in the office is often built upon the encouragement they receive from their loved ones. Meeting with Airi, Sagawa spoke not as a boss, but as someone who genuinely wished to see Yoichi flourish. He explained the areas where Yoichi needed more focus, but also expressed his belief in Yoichi's potential. His words were simple yet powerful. With your support, he will rise higher. Airi listened with gratitude. She had always known her husband to be hardworking and sincere, but hearing these words from his mentor gave her a new perspective. She realized that her role was not only to care for him at home, but also to be a source of encouragement for his professional journey. From that day forward, Airi became more intentional in her support. She reminded Yoichi of his strengths when he doubted himself. She encouraged him to rest when he pushed too hard. She reminded him that mistakes are not failures, but lessons. Her quiet wisdom became a compass, guiding Yoichi back to confidence each time uncertainty clouded his vision. At work, the difference began to show. Slowly but surely, Yoichi regained his focus. He approached each task with greater attention, not out of fear of mistakes, but out of determination to grow. When challenges arose, he reminded himself of Sagawa's trust and Airi's unwavering faith. The combination of mentorship and love gave him balance, the very balance he needed to move forward. Of course, the journey was not without difficulty. Some days were long, and setbacks still occurred. But Yoichi began to see them differently. Instead of dwelling on the pressure, he started to see each challenge as a chance to refine his skills, to prove to himself that he could rise stronger. And with each small victory, his confidence grew. A successful report, a well-timed solution, a moment of recognition from Sagawa. These were not just accomplishments, but reminders that perseverance pays off. This stage of Yoichi's life marked a turning point. The struggles he once feared became stepping stones. The pressure that once weighed on him became fuel for his determination, and the support of those around him became the foundation on which his growth was built. The story now reached its most important moment, the realization that excellence is not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them, leaning on those who believe in us, and rising again with renewed strength. As time passed, Yoichi's journey began to shift in ways he had not expected. The early mistakes that once discouraged him became memories, important markers on a path of learning. The feedback from Mr. Sagawa, which at first felt heavy, started to reveal its deeper meaning. Each reminder, each correction, was not a sign of disappointment, but of belief. It was proof that someone cared enough to invest in his growth. This realization brought Yoichi a new kind of strength. Instead of fearing mistakes, he began to view them as opportunities to improve. Instead of seeing criticism as a burden, he saw it as guidance. And instead of feeling alone in his challenges, he remembered the steady support of Airi, who never let him forget his worth. Excellence is not about never stumbling. It is about how we rise after we do. At the office, Yoichi's attitude began to influence those around him. Colleagues noticed the way he approached challenges calmly, without fear. They saw how he listened attentively to advice, how he handled pressure with quiet determination. Little by little, he became not only more reliable in his work, but also an example to his peers. Mr. Sagawa, observing this transformation, felt a quiet pride. He knew that leadership was not about controlling outcomes, but about creating conditions for people to discover their own potential. By guiding Yoichi firmly yet compassionately, he had helped unlock qualities that had always been there, waiting to emerge. Yoichi's greatest growth was not just at work, but in life. He laughed more at home, shared openly with Airi, and returned to simple joys like reading and gardening. Through this balance, he realized that true success comes from harmony, professional effort, strengthened by personal well-being. For Airi, watching him regain confidence proved that encouragement is more powerful than pressure. Her role was not to fix her struggles, but to remind him of his strengths. Together with Mr. Sagawa's guidance, their story shows a universal truth. Struggles are inevitable, but with mentorship, support, and perseverance, challenges become stepping stones. Yoichi's lasting lesson was that success is never solitary. It grows through connections with mentors, loved ones, and our own inner resilience. For all of us, the reminder is clear. Mistakes can be lessons, and with patience and support, we build lasting success. In the weeks that followed, Yoichi often reflected on how far he had come. What once seemed like endless obstacles now felt like milestones, each one proof that growth was possible. He no longer judged himself by the mistakes he made, but by the progress he achieved. His posture was steadier, his eyes carried more certainty, and his smile was no longer hesitant. It was the look of someone who had weathered storms and discovered his own strength. At breakfast, Airi noticed the change too. For her, it was enough. She knew that love was not about changing someone, but about supporting them until they discovered the courage to change themselves. Later that day, at the office, Mr. Sagawa invited Yoichi into his office for a brief conversation. "You've grown," he said plainly, "not just in your work, but in how you carry yourself. That will take you far." Yoichi bowed, humbled by the words. But more than pride, he felt gratitude for the guidance, the patience, and the belief that others had placed in him when he struggled to believe in himself. The story of Tsuji Airi and Mr. Sagawa is not just about one man's professional journey. It is about the universal truth that shapes all of our lives. None of us succeed alone. Behind every achievement is a network of unseen hands, the mentor who gives advice, the loved one who offers encouragement, the colleague who quietly believes in our potential. These are the connections that lift us when we stumble and steady us when we falter. That growth is not something given to us. It is something we must choose. Yoichi could have ignored advice, given in to discouragement, or closed himself off from support. But instead, he chose resilience. He chose to see mistakes as lessons. He chose to trust in the people who wanted the best for him. And in doing so, he transformed. This is where the real message lies, not only for Yoichi, but for each of us watching or listening today. We all face moments when work feels heavy or life overwhelming. In those times, remember, mistakes are beginnings, not endings. They teach us to grow. Support is strength. Mentors, family, and friends give us courage. And growth takes time like a seed. we bloom with patience and perseverance. These truths apply to every part of life studies, work, or personal goals. As Yoichi learned, progress matters more than perfection. Each challenge is a chance to rise stronger and inspire others. True resilience is quiet yet powerful. No matter where you stand today, your best chapters are still ahead. This video reminds us that setbacks are part of growth, and with determination and support, we can all rise stronger in both career and life.